Story 1. Insane Office Deception, a Financial Horror. Você se vê preso em um labirinto de mentiras e enganos, onde a linha entre a realidade e a ilusão se torna cada vez mais tênue. Tudo começou naquela empresa de escritórios aparentemente comum, onde eu trabalhava como contador. O clima de final de ano trouxe consigo uma pressão adicional para fechar as contas e apresentar relatórios financeiros precisos. Foi quando conheci Mark, um colega de trabalho aparentemente prestativo e competente. Ele sempre estava disponível para ajudar, oferecendo conselhos e sugestões sobre como melhorar os números. No entanto, à medida que os dias passavam, comecei a notar discrepâncias estranhas nos registros financeiros. Pequenos desvios que pareciam insignificantes a princípio, mas que logo se transformaram em algo muito mais sinistro. À medida que eu investigava mais a fundo, descobri um esquema elaborado de fraude financeira orquestrado por Mark. Ele manipulava os números para desviar fundos da empresa, enriquecendo-se às custas de todos os outros. Sua fachada de colega prestativo desmoronou diante dos meus olhos, revelando um manipulador cruel e sem escrúpulos. A paranoia começou a se instalar em mim, pois percebi que Mark estava um passo à frente o tempo todo. Ele parecia saber dos meus movimentos antes mesmo de eu os fazer, como se estivesse me observando constantemente. As noites se tornaram um pesadelo, com a sensação de que eu estava sendo seguido a cada esquina, mesmo quando estava sozinho em casa. A verdadeira extensão da decepção de Mark veio à tona quando a empresa entrou em colapso financeiro, deixando todos os funcionários em desespero. Ele havia desaparecido, levando consigo uma fortuna roubada, deixando para trás um rastro de destruição e desconfiança. Agora, enquanto olho para trás, percebo que fui apenas mais uma peça em seu jogo doentio de poder e ganância. A sensação de traição e desamparo me consome, alimentando um desejo ardente de vingança contra aquele que me enganou tão cruelmente. Anonymous Spectator Story. Story 2. Nightmare in an Abandoned Warehouse Confined Space. I never imagined that a routine investigation into financial fraud would lead me to the darkest corners of human desperation and deceit. As a police officer, I had seen my fair share of corruption, but what awaited me in that abandoned warehouse would haunt me forever. It was a cold, moonless night when my partner and I received a tip about suspicious activities in an old warehouse on the outskirts of town. The place reeked of neglect and decay, its walls covered in graffiti and its windows shattered. As we cautiously made our way inside, the darkness enveloped us like a suffocating cloak. The beam of my flashlight revealed a scene straight out of a nightmare. Piles of discarded furniture and debris littered the floor, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance and twist in the dim light. The air was thick with the stench of mold and decay, making it hard to breathe. As we ventured deeper into the warehouse, we stumbled upon a makeshift office hidden in the shadows. Papers were strewn across the desk, their contents detailing elaborate schemes of embezzlement and fraud. It was clear that this place had been a hub for illegal activities, a den of thieves preying on the vulnerable and desperate. Suddenly, a noise echoed through the darkness, sending shivers down my spine. My partner and I exchanged a tense glance before following the sound to its source. What we discovered froze the blood in our veins. In a small, cramped room at the back of the warehouse, we found a group of terrified individuals huddled together like cattle awaiting slaughter. Their eyes were wide with fear, their bodies trembling with a mixture of cold and dread. It was then that we realized the true horror of the situation. These people had been lured into a web of deception and false promises, their savings stolen and their lives ruined by the greed of those who saw them as nothing more than pawns in a twisted game of financial manipulation. The desperation in their eyes mirrored the guilt that gnawed at my own conscience. As we led the victims to safety, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. The warehouse had been a prison of despair, a place where dreams went to die and nightmares thrived. The darkness that had enveloped us seemed to seep into my very soul, leaving a stain that no amount of light could ever erase. In the end, we were able to bring the perpetrators to justice and rescue those who had fallen victim to their schemes. But the memory of that night still haunts me, a reminder of the depths of human depravity and the fragility of trust in a world consumed by greed. Anonymous Spectator Story. Story 3. Night Shift Wall Street Deception. As the clock struck midnight, the bustling streets of Wall Street fell into an eerie silence, shrouded in darkness and secrecy. I, a financial analyst working the night shift, found myself engulfed in a world of deception and desperation, where the line between truth and lies blurred with each passing moment. The office was dimly lit, casting long shadows that danced ominously across the walls. The air was heavy with the scent of sweat and fear, a palpable reminder of the high-stakes game we played every night. As I delved into the year-end financial reports, a sense of unease crept over me, a feeling that something sinister lurked just beyond my reach. Whispers echoed through the empty corridors, voices muffled yet filled with malice. I tried to shake off the growing sense of dread, focusing on the numbers in front of me, but the numbers seemed to twist and turn, mocking my attempts to make sense of them. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end of the hallway, their features obscured by the shadows. My heart raced as they drew closer, their footsteps echoing like a death knell in the stillness of the night. I could feel their eyes boring into me, a silent accusation of complicity in their deception. As the figure reached my desk, a chill ran down my spine. They leaned in close, their breath cold against my ear as they whispered words of warning and threat. I tried to look away, to break free from their gaze, but I was paralyzed, trapped in a web of lies and deceit of my own making. The figure straightened up, their face finally coming into view. It was a colleague, someone I had trusted, but their eyes held a darkness that chilled me to the core. They spoke of schemes and manipulations, of greed and desperation that drove them to commit unspeakable acts in the name of profit. I realized then that I was not just a witness to their deception, but a willing participant, a cog in the machine of corruption that fueled the dark underbelly of Wall Street. The illusion of a happy ending shattered before me, replaced by the harsh reality of my own complicity in the crimes that unfolded before my very eyes. As the night wore on, I made a choice. I chose to break free from the chains of deception, to seek redemption for my sins and to expose the truth, no matter the cost. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, I walked out of that office, leaving behind the shadows of Wall Street and stepping into the light of a new day, determined to make amends for the horrors I had witnessed and perpetuated. Anonymous Spectator Story.